I laughed at my husband's funeral. Everyone thought I'd lost it from grief. His mother actually gasped and called me disgraceful. Benjamin's brother, Dan, stood up like he was going to escort me out, but I couldn't stop laughing. See, Benjamin had this thing about being prepared for everything. Emergency funds, backup generators, 3 different insurance policies. The worst. He even had a binder labeled "When I Die" that he updated quarterly. His family thought it was morbid. I thought it was sweet. 3 weeks before he died, cancer finally winning after 18 months of fighting, he sat me down at our kitchen table. He looked exhausted, but determined. "I made a video for the funeral," he said. "Something to help you through it. Promise me you'll have them play it." I promised. I figured it was some heartfelt goodbye message about our 12 years together. Maybe some stories about our dog Biscuit. Advice for moving forward. The kind of thing that would make everyone cry but feel healing. The funeral director, a nervous young guy named Tim, handed me a flash drive that morning before the service started. "Your husband left very specific instructions. He said he wanted this played exactly 20 minutes into the service right after his brother speaks." Dan's eulogy was painfully generic. Talked about Benjamin's success at the software company, his love of hiking, barely mentioned me at all. When he finished, Tim nervously walked to the front and set up the projector. The video started normal enough. Benjamin sitting in our living room in his favorite green chair, looking tired but smiling. He was wearing the ridiculous Hawaiian shirt I bought him as a joke. "By the time you're watching this, I'll be gone," he said. "And I need to tell you something I should have said years ago." My heart dropped. What secret had he been keeping? The room went completely silent. You could hear people shifting in their seats. "The life insurance policy, the one for $500,000 that my mother keeps asking about." He paused, and I swear he was trying not to smile. "I changed the beneficiary last month." His mother, Sandra, actually stood up. She'd been calling me weekly for 6 months about that policy, asking when we discussed the disbursement. I watched her face light up, thinking he'd finally given it to her like she'd been demanding since his diagnosis. But Benjamin kept talking. "I left everything to the animal shelter on Oak Street, the one where we got Biscuits 7 years ago." He was grinning now because I knew my family would fight over that money like vultures at a buffet. They've been circling since the day I got diagnosed. Sandra's face went red. Sandra put her hand over her mouth. Benjamin's sister, Jennifer, walked out immediately, heels clicking on the tile. "Mom, you asked me for $50,000 to help with your mortgage, even though you own your house outright. Dan, you pitched me your crypto investment scheme from my hospital bed." Jenny tried to get me to co-sign a loan 2 days after my second chemo treatment. The room was dead silent, except for someone's uncomfortable cough. Then Benjamin looked directly into the camera, and his expression softened completely. "But you," he said, and I knew he was talking to me. "You never once asked about the money. Not once in 18 months. You asked about my pain levels. You asked what I wanted for dinner. You asked if I was scared." I felt tears starting, but I was also starting to smile because this was so perfectly Benjamin. "You worked double shifts at the hospital to cover our bills when I couldn't work. You sold your car so I could do that experimental treatment. You told your own mother no when she asked you to convince me to change my will." I'd forgotten about that. My mom had called 6 months ago testing the waters. I'd hung up on her, so here's what I actually did. Benjamin continued that life insurance going to dogs who need homes. "But my savings account, the one you don't know about because I opened it before we met." He paused for effect. "There's $340,000 in there. Password is Biscuit 2019. It's all yours. You earned it by being the only person who loved me instead of my money." That's when I started laughing. Full body. "Can't breathe." The video flickered and continued. "Oh, and honey, one more thing. That shelter donation. It's contingent on one condition." My laughter caught in my throat. Benjamin leaned forward on screen, his expression serious now. "They only get the money if you're still alive 30 days after my death. If anything happens to you, it all goes to my family after all. I set it up as protection, so they'd have to keep you safe." The room went silent. I turned around slowly. Every single member of Benjamin's family was staring at me, and we all did the math at exactly the same time. Today was day 29. The video ended with Benjamin blowing me a kiss. The screen went black. Tim scrambled to turn off the projector, hands shaking so bad he dropped the remote twice. I looked at my watch. 3:47 p.m. In exactly 20 hours and 13 minutes, I'd hit the 30-day mark. If I made it that long, Sandra recovered first. She always did. Stepped right into my path as I tried to leave. "We should talk about this like adults," she said, voice all sugary sweet. The same tone she'd used when asking Benjamin to change his will while he was hooked up to morphine. "Why don't you come stay at my house tonight? You shouldn't be alone right now." I looked at her. Really looked. She was wearing black Prada heels that cost more than my monthly rent. Diamond earrings Benjamin had bought her for her 60th birthday, right before his diagnosis. Her face was arranged in this expression of concern that didn't quite reach her eyes. "I'm good. Sandra, thanks though. I really think it would be best." Her hand closed around my wrist, gentle but firm. "Benjamin would want us to look after you." I pulled my arm back. Benjamin made it pretty clear what he wanted. "I'll see you all tomorrow." Dan appeared at my other elbow. "Actually, wait. Can we talk for a second? Alone?" I followed him to the funeral home parking lot. He leaned against his BMW, rubbing his face with both hands. This is so messed up. Yeah, Mom's already texting the family group chat. She wants everyone to meet at her place in an hour to discuss options. Options for what? Dan looked at me like I was being deliberately obtuse. You know what? Look, I'm not saying anyone would actually do anything, but Mom gets ideas. And Jenny follows whatever Mom says. And my wife Patricia thinks you manipulated Benjamin into changing his will. I didn't even know about the will. I know. He pulled out his phone. Started typing. I'm hiring security for you. Private guys. They can be at your place in 3 hours. Dan, I can't afford. I'm paying. Non-negotiable. He looked up from his phone. Benjamin was my brother. I wasn't great to him at the end, I know that. But I'm not letting anything happen to you because our family's greedy. A text lit up my phone. Jennifer, we need to talk about Benjamin's mental state when he made that video. He was clearly not thinking straight. Call me. I showed it to Dan. He swore under his breath. Block her number. Actually, block all of them except me. I'll update you if anything important happens. She's already at the lawyer's office, isn't she? Probably camped outside. Dan checked his watch. Howard's office is closed today, for the funeral. But she'll be there first thing tomorrow demanding to see Benjamin's will. Can she contest it? She can try. Won't work though. Benjamin documented everything. Every conversation, every request for money, every time someone asked about his finances. Howard has it all. He showed me when Benjamin first changed things. Dan's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and grimaced. Mom's asking why I'm talking to you. I gotta go do damage control. The security team will call you within the hour. Keep your phone on. I watched him drive away. The parking lot was emptying out. A few people I didn't know were loading flowers into their cars. Tim was standing by the door, looking anxious. I walked back inside. Do you have Benjamin's video file? I can't give that to you. Client confidentiality. Benjamin was my husband. I understand, but his instructions were very specific. The video was to be played once and then destroyed. Destroyed? Yes. I have to delete it from our system tonight. Tim shifted his weight. I'm sorry. I know this must be difficult. I thought about asking him to make me a copy anyway, but Benjamin had wanted it destroyed. There was probably a reason. He'd thought of everything else. I drove home on autopilot. My apartment was in a converted warehouse downtown. Industrial neighborhood, lots of art studios and young professionals. Benjamin had hated it at first. Too noisy, too modern, but he'd grown to love the exposed brick and huge windows. Now it felt too big, too empty. I was unlocking my door when my phone rang. Unknown number. Is this Mrs. Patterson? Yes. My name's Russ Coleman. Dan Patterson hired my company to provide security for you. Can I get your address? I gave it to him. He said they'd have someone outside my building within 90 minutes. Asked if I had working locks, security system, emergency contacts, all very professional and slightly terrifying. After I hung up, I realized I was starving. Hadn't eaten since yesterday. There was leftover Thai food in the fridge, but when I opened the container, the smell made me nauseous. I threw it away and made toast instead. That's when I noticed the mail on my counter. I'd grabbed it yesterday but hadn't looked at it. Bills, mostly. Credit card offers. Something from the hospital about Benjamin's final bills. And a letter with no return address. Just my name in block handwriting. I opened it. Single sheet of paper. 5 words in the same block print. We know where you live. My hand started shaking. I put the letter down, picked it up again, checked the envelope. Postmarked 3 days ago. Before the funeral. Before the video. Someone had sent this before they even knew about the 30-day clause. I took a photo of the letter and sent it to Dan. Then I called the detective number the police had given me when Benjamin died. I'd had to file a death certificate, answer questions about his medications. Standard procedure. Detective Morrison. Hi, this is Emma Patterson. You handled my husband's death certificate last month. I need to file a report. What kind of report? I explained about the funeral, the video, the 30-day clause, the threatening letter. Morrison listened, without interrupting. Do you have reason to believe your in-laws would harm you? I don't know, but they all just found out they're getting nothing unless I die in the next 20 hours. That's not actually a threat though. That's just unfortunate timing. What about the letter? Could be from anyone. Do you have enemies? Anyone who'd want to scare you? No, I'm a hospice nurse. I work crazy hours and go home. That's it. Morrison sighed. Look, I'll send a patrol car by your building tonight, and I'll make a note in the system to check on you periodically until the 30 days are up. But without an actual threat or evidence of planning, there's not much else I can do. So I just wait and hope nobody kills me. I know that's not what you want to hear, but yeah, keep your doors locked. Stay in public places when possible. Call 911 if anything happens. After I hung up, I sat on my couch and tried to think logically. Sandra was greedy, not violent. Jennifer was impulsive but mostly harmless. Dan seemed genuinely concerned about me. But $500,000 makes people do crazy things. And these were people who'd asked a dying man for money from his hospital bed. My phone buzzed. Text from Dan. Got your pick. File a police report now. I'm sending the security team early. They'll be there in 30 minutes. Another text. Also change your locks. Mom has your spare key, remember? I did remember. I'd given Benjamin a spare when we first started dating. He must have given it to Sandra at some point. Maybe when he was in the hospital and she was supposedly helping coordinate his care. I grabbed my purse and keys. There was a hardware store 3 blocks away. I could get new locks and install them myself. I'd watched enough YouTube videos to figure it out. I was locking my apartment door when I heard footsteps on the stairs. My building had an elevator, but it was old and slow. Most people used the stairs. A woman appeared on the landing. 50s, professional clothes, carrying a briefcase. Emma Patterson? Who are you? I'm Benjamin's lawyer, Howard Greer. Do you have a few minutes? I looked at her. Benjamin's lawyer was named Howard, but Benjamin had never mentioned Howard was a woman. Can I see some ID? She pulled out a business card. Howard Greer, attorney at law. Same name Benjamin had mentioned. Benjamin never told me you were a woman. Most people assume Howard's a man. Useful sometimes. May I come in? I let her inside, but I kept my phone in my hand, finger hovering over 911. Howard sat on my couch without being asked, opened her briefcase and pulled out a thick folder. Benjamin was very specific about the timing of this meeting. I was instructed to contact you exactly 24 hours before the 30-day mark, which is now. Why? Because things are going to get complicated, and you need to understand the full scope of what he set up. She pulled out a document. The life insurance policy was the simple part. Everyone sees money, everyone gets predictable, but there's more you don't know about. My stomach dropped. What else did he do? He created a trust. It contains the savings account he mentioned, plus investments, stocks, and the proceeds from selling his car and some collectibles. Total current value is approximately $480,000. He said $340,000. That was 3 months ago when he recorded the video. The stock portfolio did well. Howard pulled out another document. But here's the important part. The trust has specific conditions. You get access to everything on day 30, assuming you're alive and well. But if you die, become incapacitated, or are declared mentally incompetent before then, everything goes to his family. Mentally incompetent? If someone gets you committed, files paperwork claiming you're a danger to yourself or others, gets a judge to agree you can't manage your affairs. It's difficult to do, but not impossible. Especially if multiple family members testify that you're unstable. Is that why Sandra wanted me to stay at her house? Probably. Once you're in her home, she can document erratic behavior. Call doctors, build a case. I've seen it before with inheritance disputes. I felt sick. What do I do? Exactly what you're doing. Stay away from them. Don't sign anything. Don't go anywhere alone with any of them. And definitely don't accept food or drinks from anyone in that family. You think they'd poison me? I think $500,000 makes people do things they never thought they'd do. Benjamin knew his family. He wasn't paranoid. He was realistic. Howard stood up. I'll be checking in on you every 6 hours until we hit the 30-day mark. Don't answer the door for anyone except the security team Dan hired. Their names are Russ Coleman and Javier Torres. I have their credentials here. She handed me a sheet with their photos and IDs. Both looked like former military. Serious faces, professional headshots. One more thing. Howard pulled out a USB drive. Benjamin made another video. This one's just for you. He wanted you to watch it tonight, alone. I took the drive. It was labeled simply, Emma, day 29. What's on it? I don't know. I was instructed to give it to you but not to watch it myself. Howard packed up her briefcase. The security team will be here in 15 minutes. I'm going to wait with you until they arrive. We sat in silence. Howard checked her phone. I stared at the USB drive in my hand. A knock on the door made me jump. Howard looked through the peephole. It's them. She opened the door to reveal 2 men in dark suits. Russ was tall and broad, probably early 40s. Javier was shorter but built like a tank, late 30s. Mrs. Patterson? Russ extended his hand. We're going to set up outside your door. 12-hour shifts. My partner Lewis will relieve us at midnight. How long is this for? Dan said until the 30-day mark passes. After that, we'll reassess. Howard left with them to go over logistics. I sat alone in my apartment, holding the USB drive. I hadn't cried at the funeral. Hadn't cried when I found the threatening letter. But sitting there with Benjamin's final message, I finally broke down. Big, ugly sobs that made my chest hurt and my throat raw. When I could breathe again, I plugged the USB drive into my laptop. Benjamin appeared on screen. This video was different. He was in our bedroom, sitting on the edge of our bed, wearing his old college sweatshirt, the one I always stole to sleep in. He looked exhausted but peaceful. Hey, Em, if you're watching this, you made it to day 29. I knew you would. You're tougher than my whole family combined. He smiled. That lopsided smile that had made me fall in love with him in the first place. I'm sorry I put you through this. The 30-day thing. The uncertainty. But I needed to make sure you'd be okay. That they couldn't manipulate or threaten you while the money was still in play. He shifted on the bed, wincing. The video must have been recorded near the end, when even sitting upright hurt him. Here's what's going to happen next. Tomorrow, my family will try every tactic they can think of. They'll cry. They'll threaten. They'll try to prove you influenced me or that I was mentally incompetent when I changed my will. Howard has documentation to counter all of it, but it's going to be ugly. Don't engage. Don't defend yourself. Just let Howard handle everything. Benjamin coughed. Took a drink of water from the glass on the nightstand. The same nightstand that was still in our bedroom. Still holding the same stupid lamp we'd bought at IKEA 7 years ago. After the 30 days, you'll have money. More than you've ever had. Don't do anything stupid with it. Don't give any to my family, no matter how much they guilt you. Don't give any to your family either. Your mom's been asking you to invest in her friend's restaurant idea, right? Don't. It's a scam. I had someone check it out. I'd forgotten about that. Mom had called 2 months ago with this great opportunity. I told her I'd think about it, and then never mentioned it to Benjamin. But apparently, he'd known anyway. Use some of the money to take care of yourself. Travel. Take time off work. Get the master's degree you always talked about. But mostly, I want you to build a life that makes you happy. Not the life we had, which was great, but something new. Something just for you. His eyes got shiny. He blinked hard. I don't have any profound wisdom about grief or moving on. It's going to suck. Some days more than others. But you're going to be okay. Better than okay. And I'm going to be dead, which isn't great. But at least I won't have to watch my mother harass you about money anymore. He laughed, then coughed again. I love you, Emma. I loved you the day I met you. When you spilled coffee all over my laptop at that terrible Starbucks downtown. I loved you when you agreed to marry me even though my family's insane. I loved you every single day of our marriage, including the ones where I was too sick to say it out loud. You were the best part of my life. Don't let anyone make you feel like you didn't deserve this money. You earned every penny by being a good person, married to a difficult man with an impossible family. The video ended. I sat there staring at the black screen, crying again. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. You can't hide forever. I screenshotted it and sent it to both Dan and Howard. Then I blocked the number. Another text from another unknown number. Benjamin was sick when he made that video. We're contesting it. You won't get anything. Screenshot. Block. A third number. This isn't over. My phone started ringing. I didn't recognize the number. Let it go to voicemail. It rang again immediately. Different number? Again? And again? I turned my phone off. Sat in the dark apartment with just my laptop screen glowing. There was a knock on my door. I froze. Mrs. Patterson? It's Russ. You have a visitor. Says she's your coworker from the hospital. I looked through the peephole. Russ was standing there with a woman I recognized. Talia, one of the other hospice nurses. We worked different shifts but covered for each other sometimes. I opened the door. Hey, Talia. I heard about what happened at the funeral. Everyone's talking about it. I wanted to check on you. She held up a casserole dish. I made you dinner. I know you probably haven't eaten. Russ was watching her carefully. Want me to stay while she visits? It's fine. Talia's harmless. He nodded but didn't move away from the door. I'll be right outside if you need anything. Talia came in and set the casserole on my counter. Pulled off the foil. It smelled amazing. Chicken and rice and vegetables. You didn't have to do this. Yes, I did. When my husband died, people brought me food for weeks. Only thing that kept me going. She started opening my cabinets, pulling out plates and forks. Have you eaten today? Toast. That's what I thought. I sat. She served me a huge portion and watched me take the first bite. It was perfect. Home-cooked and warm and exactly what I needed. The hospital's talking, Talia said. Some people think you manipulated your husband. Others think his family's awful. I'm in the second camp for what it's worth. His family is awful. I figured. The way you never talked about them. 12 years married and you never once mentioned your mother-in-law except to say she was difficult. We ate in silence for a while. Then Talia said, how much longer do you have to wait? 19 hours. What happens then? I get access to Benjamin's money, and his family stops having a financial incentive to kill me. Talia's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. Do you really think they'd hurt you? I don't know, but Benjamin thought they might. That's why he set it up this way. Smart man. Yeah, he really was. After Talia left, I tried to sleep. Couldn't. Kept hearing every sound in the building. Footsteps on the stairs. Doors closing. The elevator rumbling. At 2 a.m., I gave up and turned on all the lights. Made coffee. Sat on my couch with Benjamin's laptop, the one I couldn't bring myself to wipe clean yet. His email was still logged in. I knew I shouldn't look. It felt like a violation, but I opened it anyway. The inbox was mostly spam. Newsletters he'd never unsubscribed from. Work emails from before he got too sick to work. But there was a folder labeled Family. I clicked on it. Hundreds of emails, all from Sandra, Jennifer, and Dan. I started with the oldest ones, from right after Benjamin's diagnosis. Sandra, I've been thinking about your life insurance policy. We should review it together to make sure everything's in order. Benjamin's reply, it's fine, Mom. Sandra, but with Emma working so much, she might not have time to handle everything if something happens. I could be the beneficiary temporarily, just to make sure the money's managed properly. Benjamin, no. The emails continued like that for weeks. Sandra asking about money, life insurance, Benjamin's savings, Benjamin saying no, her getting more aggressive, him getting more direct. Then Jennifer's emails started, asking to borrow money for a business idea, then a car, then rent. Benjamin said no to all of it. She got nasty in response. You always were selfish. Mom was right about you. You think you're better than us just because you have money? Dan's emails were different. He'd sent one, just one, asking Benjamin to invest in cryptocurrency. Benjamin had replied with a detailed breakdown of why it was a bad idea. Dan had replied, you're probably right. Thanks for being honest. Sorry, I asked. That was it. No follow-up, no pressure. I kept reading. Found emails from the last month of Benjamin's life. Sandra writing about the experimental treatment I'd pushed for. You're wasting money on false hope. You should accept reality and make sure your family's taken care of. Benjamin's reply. My wife is my family. I started crying again. Couldn't help it. My phone buzzed. I'd turned it back on an hour ago. Text from Dan. Can't sleep either? Me. No. Dan. Mom's called 6 times tonight asking me to convince you to sign something that says you'll split the money with the family. Me. Not happening. Dan. Good. She's unhinged right now. Patricia and I are staying at a hotel. Didn't feel safe at home knowing Mom has our address. Me. Is she dangerous? Dan. Honestly, I don't know anymore. Never seen her like this. Keep your doors locked. I looked at my new locks. I'd installed them after Talia left, with Russ helping me make sure they were secure. Deadbolts. Chain lock. Everything. Me. What about you? Are you safe? Dan. Yeah. Patricia's brother is a cop. He's keeping an eye on things. Get some sleep if you can. Tomorrow's going to be rough. He was right. Tomorrow, Howard would meet with the family and explain that the will was ironclad, that all of Benjamin's decisions had been made while he was mentally competent, that there was nothing they could do, and they'd have to accept that $500,000 was going to a dog shelter, and I was getting everything else. I finally fell asleep around 4 a.m., woke up at 7 to pounding on my door. Emma, I know you're in there. Sandra. Her voice was shrill, panicked. Russ's voice. Ma'am, you need to leave. That's my son's apartment. I have every right to be here. This is Mrs. Patterson's apartment. You're trespassing. Leave now or I'll call the police. I heard scuffling. Sandra's voice getting louder. You don't understand. She manipulated my son. She stole his money. He was sick. He didn't know what he was doing. I cracked open the door. Russ was physically blocking Sandra from getting past him. She looked terrible. Hair uncombed, makeup smeared, wearing the same black dress from yesterday's funeral. Emma. She tried to push past Russ. We need to talk about this. As a family. We're not family anymore, Sandra. Benjamin made that clear. He was dying. He was on drugs. The morphine made him confused. He'd been planning this for months. Before the morphine, Howard has all the documentation. Sandra's face crumpled. Real tears this time. Not the fake ones from the funeral. Please. I'm his mother. I raised him. I deserve something. You deserve what you earned, which is nothing. How can you be so cruel? I just lost my son. And I lost my husband. The difference is I actually loved him. That was harsh. I knew it was harsh even as I said it. But I was tired and scared and sick of her games. Sandra's expression changed. The tears stopped like turning off a faucet. You're going to regret this. Is that a threat? It's a promise. You can't keep all that money. It's not fair. It's not right. And we're going to fight this with everything we have. Russ stepped forward. Ma'am, you need to leave now. I've already called the police. Sandra looked at him, then at me. You think you've won, but this isn't over. Not even close. She left. I could hear her heels clicking down the stairs. Then silence. Russ turned to me. You okay? Define okay. Fair point. Want some coffee? I brought a thermos. We sat on the floor outside my apartment. Russ on one side of the door, me on the other. He poured coffee into 2 paper cups. How long have you been doing security work? I asked. 15 years. Military before that. Seen a lot of messy family stuff, but this is definitely top 10. Top 10 worst? Top 10 most likely to end badly if we're not careful. That's comforting. He shrugged. I'm being honest. Your mother-in-law's desperate. Desperate people are unpredictable. But that's why Dan hired us. We're good at what we do. My phone rang. Howard, turn on the news. Channel 7. I went inside, turned on my TV. Local news was on. And there was Sandra, being interviewed outside the funeral home. My son was a good man who was taken advantage of in his final days, she was saying, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. His wife isolated him from his family, convinced him to change his will while he was on heavy medications. All we want is justice for Benjamin. The reporter, do you plan to contest the will? We're exploring all legal options. Benjamin wasn't in his right mind. Anyone who knew him would tell you he'd never cut his own mother out of his inheritance. I felt sick. This wasn't about the money anymore. This was about destroying my reputation. Howard's voice on the phone. Don't respond. Don't go on social media. Don't talk to any reporters. Let her make accusations. We have documentation that proves everything she's saying is a lie. She's telling everyone I manipulated him. I know. But in 12 hours, none of it will matter. The money will be yours, the will is valid, and she can scream into the void all she wants. After I hung up, I checked my phone. 7 missed calls from my mom, 3 from my sister. I called my mom back. Emma, I just saw the news. What's going on? I explained everything. The video, the 30-day clause, Sandra's accusations. Mom was quiet for a long time. So you're getting $480,000? If I survive the next 12 hours? Yeah. And Benjamin's family gets nothing? They get the life insurance. It goes to the dog shelter. That was Benjamin's choice. Another pause. You know, your father's medical bills are piling up. His insurance doesn't cover everything. We could really use some help. I closed my eyes. Mom. No. I'm just saying, if you're coming into all this money, Mom, I gotta go. I hung up. Immediately got a text from my sister. Mom says you're rich now. Can you spot me $5K? I'm behind on rent. I turned my phone off again. Sat on my couch. 11 hours and 43 minutes until the 30-day mark. Russ knocked on the door. You have another visitor. Your boss from the hospital? I looked through the peephole. Greta, my supervisor. She was holding a stack of papers. I let her in. What are you doing here? Someone posted about you on Facebook. One of your in-laws. I wanted you to see it before you go back to work. She handed me her phone. Sandra's Facebook post. Please help us. My daughter-in-law manipulated my dying son into changing his will. She isolated him from his family during his cancer treatment and convinced him to leave everything to her. We're devastated and looking for a good lawyer who handles elder abuse cases. Any recommendations? The post had 147 comments. Most were supportive of Sandra. A few people defending me. But the overall tone was clear. I was a gold digger who'd taken advantage of a sick man. This is defamation, I said. Probably. But that's not why I'm here. Greta sat down. I wanted you to know that I believe you. I've seen how you are with patients. You're one of the most compassionate nurses I've ever worked with. And I've seen how you were with Benjamin. You loved him. Anyone with eyes could see that. Thank you. But I also need to warn you. Some people at work are talking. They saw the Facebook post. They're asking questions. What kind of questions? Whether you influenced other patients. Whether you've ever discussed inheritance with anyone. It's stupid. But administration is taking it seriously. They've asked me to set up a meeting with you when you come back. Am I getting fired? No. But they want to document that the allegations are false. Cover their asses legally. It's precautionary. After Greta left, I finally let myself panic. Full breakdown. Crying so hard I couldn't breathe. Pounding my fists on the couch cushions. Benjamin had tried to protect me. He'd set everything up perfectly. But he hadn't accounted for Sandra weaponizing social media, for her turning my own community against me. My phone buzzed. I turned it back on to call my mom. Text from unknown number. Check your car. I looked out my window. My car was parked on the street below. I couldn't see anything wrong with it from 4 floors up. I called Russ. Someone told me to check my car. Stay inside, I'll look. I watched from the window as Russ walked to my car. He circled it slowly, bent down to look at something, stood up, and took photos with his phone. He came back up 5 minutes later. All 4 tires are slashed. Deep cuts. Professional job. I've called the police and documented everything. Who would do that? Someone who wants to scare you. Or someone who wants to make it harder for you to leave if you need to. I can't drive to the lawyer's office tomorrow. You won't need to. Howard's coming here. Safer that way. The police came. Took a report. Asked the same questions Detective Morrison had asked. No, I didn't see anyone near my car. No, I don't have enemies. No, I can't prove my in-laws did this. We'll check security footage from nearby buildings, the officer said. But without a clear shot of someone's face, there's not much we can do. After they left, I sat in my apartment and watched the clock. 10 hours. 9 hours. 8. At midnight, Russ's replacement showed up. Lewis was older, maybe 50, with graying hair and a calm presence. Heard you've had a rough day, he said. That's an understatement. Well, you've got 7 more hours. Then this is all over. Try to get some sleep if you can. I couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about the slashed tires, the threatening texts, Sandra's interview, my mother asking for money before the 30 days even ended. At 3 a.m., my doorbell rang. Security camera showed Jennifer standing outside my building, looking up at the camera. Lewis's voice through my door. Don't answer, let her ring. She kept ringing, for 20 minutes straight. Then she started yelling. I know you're up there. We need to talk. This is ridiculous. Benjamin would be ashamed of you. Lewis went downstairs. I watched through the security camera as he explained that she needed to leave. She tried to push past him. He blocked her. She called the police on him, claiming he was harassing her. When the police arrived, they recognized Lewis from earlier, took statements, asked Jennifer to leave. She finally did, but not before screaming more accusations up at my window. 5 hours left. My phone died. I'd been checking it obsessively, draining the battery. I plugged it in and waited for it to turn back on. 53 new text messages, 32 missed calls. I didn't read any of them. At 6 a.m., Howard called. Good morning. How are you holding up? I've been better. I'm heading to your place now. I'll be there by 7:30. The 30-day mark hits at 7:47 a.m., which is when your husband was pronounced dead. At 8 a.m., I'll initiate the transfer of funds into an account I've set up for you. By 9 a.m., everything will be legally yours, and there's nothing your in-laws can do about it. What if they try something in the next hour? That's why I'm coming early, and why you have security. Just stay inside. Stay safe. You're almost there. I showered, got dressed, tried to eat but couldn't, made coffee and sat by the window watching the sun come up. At 7:30, Howard arrived with a briefcase and a laptop. She set up at my kitchen table. 47 minutes, she said, checking her watch. Do you think they'll actually try anything? Honestly, no. They're desperate, but they're not stupid. Going after you now would be obvious. They'll probably try to contest the will through legal channels instead. Will that work? Not even a little bit. Benjamin was incredibly thorough. Every decision is documented, every conversation recorded. He saw a psychiatrist monthly for the last 6 months of his life specifically to establish mental competency. The recordings are time-stamped and notarized. There's no case. At 7:45, my phone started ringing. Sandra. I didn't answer. It rang again. Jennifer, then Dan, then numbers I didn't recognize. Howard looked at me. 2 minutes. I watched the clock on my phone. 7:46 a.m. 1 minute. Howard opened her laptop, logged into the bank, pulled up the transfer screen. 7:47 a.m. Congratulations, Howard said. You're officially the sole beneficiary. Everything is yours. I waited for relief, for excitement, for anything. Instead, I just felt numb. Howard started typing, moving money between accounts. This will take a few minutes to process. Once it's done, I'll print out confirmation for your records. At 7:52, her laptop pinged. Transfer complete. $481,649.73 is now in your personal account. The stock portfolio and other assets are being transferred to an account in your name. That'll take a few days to complete, but it's all set up. I looked at my phone. Text from Dan. I hope you're okay. Mom and Jennifer are losing their minds, but I'm glad Benjamin took care of you. You deserved it. What happens now? I asked Howard. Now I draft a formal letter to your in-laws explaining that all of Benjamin's assets have been distributed according to his wishes. The will is public record, so they can contest it if they want, but they won't win. I'll also send a cease and desist letter if they continue harassing you. And the dog shelter? They'll get their money once the life insurance company processes the claim. Should be within 30 days. I'll oversee that as well. Howard packed up her laptop. I know this has been terrible, but Benjamin loved you very much. Everything he did was to protect you. After she left, I sat alone in my apartment. Louis was still outside the door. The sun was fully up now, light streaming through my windows. My phone rang. Detective Morrison. Mrs. Patterson? We found something on the security footage from the parking garage across from your car. What? Clear shot of someone slashing your tires at 2:15 p.m. yesterday. Female, late 20s, matches the description of Jennifer Patterson. We're bringing her in for questioning. Thank you. There's more. We found the same woman on camera at a hardware store earlier that day buying a knife and zip ties. Store receipt confirms it's her credit card. I know you filed a restraining order request. Judge signed it this morning. She's not allowed within 500 feet of you. I hung up and immediately called Dan. Jennifer got arrested, he said before I could speak. I just found out. Mom's at the station trying to bail her out. Did you know she slashed my tires? What? No, Jesus? I knew she was mad, but I didn't think, fuck, Emma, I'm sorry. My family's insane. Yeah, they really are. For what it's worth, I'm glad Benjamin left you everything. You earned it by being a decent human being, which is more than the rest of us can say. After I hung up, I looked around my apartment. Benjamin's books were still on the shelf. His coffee mug was in the sink. His jacket was hanging by the door. I'd have to pack it all up eventually. Donate it or store it or throw it away. Move on with my life. But not today. Today, I was just going to sit here and breathe and be grateful I'd survived. My phone buzzed one more time. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I opened it. The message was a photo. Me, walking to my car yesterday, taken from across the street. And below it, this isn't over. I screenshotted it, sent it to Detective Morrison and Howard, then blocked the number. Louis knocked on my door. Everything okay? Define okay. You keep saying that, because it keeps being relevant. He smiled. Fair enough. Want more coffee? I'm doing a run. Yeah, that'd be great. While he was gone, I opened my laptop and looked at my bank account. The number didn't feel real. $481,649.73. More money than I'd ever imagined having. I thought about what Benjamin had said in the video. Travel, take time off, get my master's degree, build a life that made me happy. I could do that now. I could do anything. But first, I needed to survive whatever came next. Because Sandra's final words kept echoing in my head. This isn't over. And based on that photo, she was right. Update 1. 3 days after the funeral, Jennifer made bail. Sandra paid it using her credit cards. Maxed out 2 of them, according to Dan. The restraining order didn't stop her from posting about me online. She created a Facebook group called Justice for Benjamin Patterson. It had 43 members, mostly her friends and people from their church. Every day she'd post something new. Photos of Benjamin as a kid. Stories about what a good son he was. How he'd been manipulated by a money-hungry nurse who preyed on vulnerable patients. My supervisor Greta called me on day 4. Don't come back to work yet. Why? Because 3 patients' families have asked that you not be assigned to their cases. They saw the Facebook posts. Administration is saying it's just a precaution, but they're basically asking you to take unpaid leave until this blows over. How long will that be? I don't know, Emma. I'm sorry. I'm fighting for you, but the optics are bad. I hung up and stared at the wall. I had enough money to never work again if I was careful. But I liked my job. I was good at it. And now Sandra was taking that away too. Dan texted me that afternoon. Mom's planning something. Overheard her talking to a lawyer about having you declared mentally incompetent. Says you're clearly unstable and dangerous. Me, can she do that? Dan. Lawyer told her no. But she's not listening. She's convinced if she can prove you're unfit, the money will revert to the family. Me. That's not how it works. Dan, I know that. You know that. Mom doesn't care. She's spiraling. That night, Sandra showed up at my apartment building again. Louis was on duty. He called the police before she even got to the door. "You can't keep me from talking to my daughter-in-law," she screamed as the police led her away. "I have rights. She stole my son's money." They arrested her for violating the restraining order. She spent the night in jail, was released the next morning with a court date scheduled for 3 weeks out. Jennifer, meanwhile, was dealing with criminal charges for the tire slashing. Her lawyer tried to argue it was a misunderstanding, that she'd been emotional about her brother's death. The prosecutor wasn't buying it, especially after they found her internet search history, how to frame someone for vandalism, and can you go to jail for destroying someone's property? I met with Howard 1 week after the transfer. She had a stack of letters from Sandra's lawyer. "They're all the same," Howard explained, demanding we turn over medical records, psychiatric evaluations, anything they can use to prove Benjamin was mentally incompetent when he changed his will. "What did you send them?" "Everything. Every single piece of documentation showing Benjamin was of sound mind. Monthly psychiatric evaluations, notarized statements from his doctors, time-stamped video recordings of him discussing his decisions. They have nothing, Emma. This is a harassment campaign, not a legal strategy. So what do I do? Nothing. Let them waste their money on lawyers. Let them file motions that go nowhere. Eventually, they'll give up or run out of money to keep fighting." But they didn't give up. Sandra started a GoFundMe to cover legal costs. "Help a mother fight for her son's legacy," the description read. It raised $2,300 in 3 days before GoFundMe shut it down for violating their terms of service. Jennifer started calling my friends, people I'd gone to nursing school with, colleagues from the hospital, asking questions about my character, whether I'd ever talked about money, whether I'd seemed interested in Benjamin's finances. Most people saw through it, but a few didn't. A few started wondering if maybe there was something to Sandra's claims. My best friend Callie called me 2 weeks after the funeral. Jennifer contacted me on Facebook. What did she say? She wanted to know if you and Benjamin had a prenup, if you'd ever mentioned his money, if I thought you'd married him for financial security. Callie paused. I told her to fuck off. Thanks. But Emma, some people are listening to her. I've seen the comments on her posts. Not everyone, but enough to be concerning. She's building a narrative. The narrative that I'm a manipulative gold digger who preyed on a dying man? Yeah, that one. I spent 2 weeks hiding in my apartment. Louis and Russ alternated shifts. I ordered groceries for delivery, watched too much TV, tried to read but couldn't focus. My mom called every few days asking about the money. "Not that I'm pressuring you," she'd say, "but your father's medical bills are really piling up." My sister sent me links to apartments she wanted to rent. "If you could just spot me the security deposit, I'd pay you back in 6 months. I said no to both of them, then felt guilty about it. On day 18, I got a letter in the mail from Benjamin's life insurance company, confirming that the $500,000 payout had been processed and sent to the Oak Street Animal Shelter. I called the shelter. The director answered on the second ring. "Mrs. Patterson, we've been trying to reach you. This donation is incredible, life-changing for our facility. We're naming our new wing after your husband. He would have loved that. We want to invite you to the dedication ceremony. It'll be in 3 months. Once construction is complete, we'd be honored if you'd say a few words." I said I'd think about it. But honestly, the idea of standing in front of people and talking about Benjamin made me want to throw up. That same day, Jennifer's lawyer sent Howard a new motion, requesting that I undergo a psychological evaluation to determine if I was fit to manage the inherited funds. Howard called me laughing. "They're desperate. This is the legal equivalent of throwing spaghetti at the wall. What do? We file a response explaining that I'm not their client. You have no legal obligation to submit to any evaluation, and they can go pound sand. Can you say that in legal documents? Not in those exact words, but close enough. Day 21. I was running out of clean clothes. All the laundromats in my neighborhood felt too public, too exposed. I was loading my car with laundry when a woman approached me. "Emma Patterson?" I turned. She was young, maybe late 20s, carrying a camera. "I'm Taylor Reeves with Channel 7 News. Can I ask you a few questions about the allegations Sandra Patterson has made?" "No. She claims you isolated her son during his illness, that you prevented the family from visiting. Is that true?" "I have nothing to say." I got in my car. She kept talking through the window, camera still rolling. "Sandra says she has witnesses who will testify that Benjamin was confused in his final months, that he didn't recognize family members, that he was on heavy medications that impaired his judgment." I started the car. She finally backed away. I drove to a laundromat 3 towns over, did my laundry in silence while people stared at me like they recognized me but couldn't place from where. When I got home, Louis was waiting with bad news. "Someone broke into the storage unit where you're keeping Benjamin's things. I'd rented a unit 2 months ago for Benjamin's belongings. Medical equipment, clothes I couldn't bear to throw away, boxes of paperwork." We drove to the facility. The lock had been cut clean through. Inside, boxes were torn open, contents scattered everywhere. "They were looking for something," Louis said. "What?" "Probably anything they could use to contest the will. Letters, documents, proof that Benjamin was confused or mentally unwell. They won't find anything. Benjamin was meticulous. But as we cleaned up, I realized something was missing. A small wooden box that had held Benjamin's wedding ring and watch. Not valuable, just sentimental. They took it, I told Lewis. The box with his jewelry. Why would they want that? I don't know. We filed a police report. The officer seemed bored. Probably teenagers looking for stuff to pawn. You'd be surprised how often storage units get broken into. This wasn't random. Someone cut my locks specifically. Do you have proof of that? No. But then there's not much we can do except document it happened. I went home angry, tired of being passive, tired of letting Sandra control the narrative. I opened my laptop and started writing. Everything that had happened. The funeral video, the 30-day clause, the threatening texts, the slashed tires, the Facebook smear campaign, Jennifer's arrest, the storage unit break-in. When I finished, I had 8 pages of documentation. Times, dates, screenshots, police report numbers. I sent it to Howard. Can we do anything with this? She called me 20 minutes later. This is perfect. I'm filing harassment charges. All of this together shows a pattern of escalating behavior, and I'm requesting that the court impose sanctions on their lawyer for filing frivolous motions. Will it work? It'll send a message that we're not backing down. That might be enough to make them stop. It wasn't enough. Day 25. I was at the grocery store, finally venturing out without security because I was going crazy staying inside all day. I was in the produce section when I heard her voice. That's her. That's the one who stole from my son. I turned around. Sandra was standing near the apples, pointing at me. She'd brought reinforcements. 3 women I didn't recognize, all staring at me with identical expressions of disgust. You should be ashamed of yourself, one of them said. I abandoned my cart and walked toward the exit. They followed. We know what you did, taking advantage of a sick man, turning him against his own mother. I kept walking. One of them grabbed my arm. Don't you dare walk away from us. I pulled free and kept moving. They followed me to the parking lot shouting, God will punish you for what you've done. You can't buy your way into heaven with stolen money. I got in my car, locked the doors. They surrounded it. Sandra knocked on my window. You can't hide forever. Everyone will know the truth about you. I called the police. They arrived 15 minutes later. By then, Sandra and her friends had left. The officer took my statement, added it to the growing file of incidents. Have you considered moving? He asked. Somewhere they won't find you? I had considered it, but moving felt like admitting defeat, like letting them win. That night, I got an email from Greta. Subject line, I'm sorry. Emma, I fought as hard as I could, but administration made a decision. They're letting you go. The official reason is downsizing, but we both know it's because of the allegations. I know this isn't fair. I know you did nothing wrong, but they're worried about liability. I've written you a glowing reference letter. If you need anything, please call me. I read the email 3 times. Then I closed my laptop and cried for the first time in a week. Benjamin had left me money, enough to never worry about bills again. But he couldn't protect my reputation, couldn't protect my career, couldn't stop his family from destroying everything I'd built. Day 28, Dan called. Patricia left me. What? She said she can't handle the family drama anymore, that she married into a circus and she wants out. She took the kids to her mother's house, filed separation papers this morning. I'm sorry. Don't be, she's right. This family is toxic. Always has been. I should have seen it years ago. He paused. Mom's escalating. She's convinced herself that if she just pushes hard enough, somehow she'll get the money. It's become an obsession. What's she planning next? I don't know. But she's not sleeping, barely eating, just sitting at her computer researching inheritance law and posting about you online. It's not healthy. After we hung up, I checked Sandra's Facebook. She'd posted 17 times in the last 24 hours. All about me, how I'd ruined her life, how Benjamin had been brainwashed, how she'd never stop fighting for justice. The comments were brutal. Some people defending me, most people believing her version of events. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Is this Emma Patterson? Who is this? My name is Robert Chen. I'm a lawyer specializing in defamation cases. I've been following what Sandra Patterson has been posting about you online. Okay, you have a very strong case against her. Libel, slander, harassment. If you're interested, I'd like to represent you pro bono. Why pro bono? Because I hate bullies, and because what she's doing to you is illegal. She can grieve her son without destroying your life. I met with Robert the next day. He was younger than I expected, maybe early 30s, with a sharp suit and sharper eyes. I've documented everything, he said, pulling up a folder on his laptop. Every post, every comment, every accusation. She's claimed you manipulated Benjamin, isolated him from family, drugged him, forged his signature, and my personal favorite, poisoned him, to speed up his death. She said I poisoned him? In a Facebook comment 6 days ago. She deleted it, but I have screenshots. That's the kind of reckless accusation that crosses the line from grief into defamation. What can we do? We file a lawsuit, demand she remove all posts about you, issue a public apology, pay damages for harm to your reputation, and we do it loudly, so everyone who believed her lies sees the truth. How much will this cost? Nothing. Like I said, pro bono. I'm not doing this for money, I'm doing it because it's right. I thought about Benjamin. About how he'd spent his final months protecting me, setting up the trust, documenting everything, making sure I'd be okay. Let's do it, I said. Robert smiled. Good. I'll have the papers filed by tomorrow morning. Day 30. Exactly 1 month since Benjamin died. I woke up to my phone buzzing with notifications. Sandra had been served with the defamation lawsuit at 6 a.m. Her response was predictable. She posted a long rant on Facebook about being silenced, about how I was now using Benjamin's money to bully her into silence. By 8 a.m., Robert had filed a motion for a temporary restraining order preventing her from posting about me online while the lawsuit was pending. By 10 a.m., every news outlet in the area had picked up the story. Widow Sue's mother, in law over Facebook posts, was trending on local Twitter. By noon, Sandra's lawyer had called Robert begging for a settlement. She's willing to remove all posts and issue an apology, Robert told me, in exchange for you dropping the lawsuit. What do you think I should do? Honestly, take it. We'll win if we go to court, but it'll take months and drag you through more publicity. This way, it ends now. She removes the posts, admits she was wrong, and you move on with your life. I agreed. By 3 p.m., Sandra's Facebook was scrubbed clean. Every post about me, gone. Replaced with a single statement. I have removed previous posts about Emma Patterson. I made statements based on grief and anger rather than facts. I apologize for any harm I caused to her reputation. It wasn't much, but it was something. Jennifer's criminal case went to trial on day 35. She pleaded guilty to vandalism and violating the restraining order, got sentenced to 6 months probation, community service, and had to pay restitution for my tires. Sandra didn't show up to the hearing. According to Dan, she'd stopped leaving her house, stopped answering the phone, just sat in Benjamin's childhood bedroom, surrounded by photos of him as a kid. She's having a breakdown, Dan said. I tried to get her into therapy, but she won't go. Says therapists are quacks, who side with people like you. People like me? Her words, not mine. Day 40. I was sitting in my apartment when I got a call from the Oak Street Animal Shelter. Mrs. Patterson, we have a problem. What kind of problem? Sandra Patterson showed up here an hour ago demanding we return the $500,000. She's claiming the donation was made under false pretenses, that her son was coerced. Can she do that? Legally? No. The money's been donated. The paperwork is complete. But she's refusing to leave. She's in our lobby screaming at our staff. We've called the police, but we wanted to give you a heads up. I drove to the shelter, pulled up just as the police were escorting Sandra out. She looked terrible. Hair unwashed, clothes wrinkled, eyes wild. She saw me and lunged. The officer held her back. This is your fault. All of it. My son is dead because of you. Ma'am, you need to calm down. He was all I had and you took him from me. You took everything. They put her in the back of the police car. She was still screaming as they drove away. The shelter director, a kind woman named Patricia, invited me inside. I'm so sorry you had to see that. It's not your fault. She's been like this since the funeral. We're moving forward with the construction. The Benjamin Patterson Memorial Wing will open in 2 months. We hope you'll be there. I said I would. Then I went home and cried for Sandra. Not because I felt guilty, but because I realized how completely Benjamin's death had broken her. She'd lost her son. That was real grief. But she'd also lost the version of Benjamin she'd created in her head. The son who would always take care of her, who would always put family first, who would never choose his wife over his mother. And she couldn't accept that the real Benjamin, the one I'd known and loved, had made his choice years ago. Day 50. I went back to work, not at the hospital. I couldn't face that. Instead, I started doing private hospice care, one-on-one cases with patients who needed round-the-clock support. The first patient was a woman named Dorothy, 83, lung cancer, maybe 3 months left. Her daughter hired me after seeing my resume. I Googled you, she admitted. Saw all the stuff about your husband's funeral. But your former supervisor called me personally to vouch for you. Said you were the best nurse she'd ever worked with. Greta called you? She did. Said what happened to you was a travesty and anyone who didn't hire you was an idiot. I made a note to send Greta flowers. Working with Dorothy was healing in ways I didn't expect. She didn't know about Benjamin, didn't care about the money or the drama. She just wanted someone to talk to at 3 a.m. when the pain was bad and she couldn't sleep. We'd sit in her kitchen drinking terrible instant coffee, talking about her life, her husband who died 10 years earlier, her 3 kids and 7 grandkids, the garden she'd planted every spring for 40 years. Death isn't the scary part, she told me one night. It's the in-between. When you know it's coming but it's not here yet. That's the hard part. I thought about Benjamin, about how he'd spent his last months planning for my future instead of mourning his own loss. My husband was like that, I said. Spent more time worrying about me than himself. That's love, Dorothy said simply. Real love, not the fairy tale kind. The kind that does the work even when it's hard. Day 62. Dan called. Mom's in the hospital. What happened? She had a breakdown. Complete mental collapse. She was found wandering around Benjamin's old elementary school at 2 a.m. talking to herself. Neighbor called it in. Doctors are saying she needs psychiatric care. Is she okay? Define okay. She's stable. medicated. But she's not coming back from this anytime soon. He sighed. I'm putting her in a facility. Long-term care. She needs more help than I can give her. I'm sorry. Don't be. This was building for years. Benjamin's death just triggered it. After we hung up, I felt strange. Not guilty. Exactly. But not relieved either. Just sad. Sad for Sandra. Sad for the family that had imploded. Sad for Benjamin, who died knowing his mother valued his money more than him. Day 75. I got a letter from Howard. Emma, I'm writing to inform you that Sandra Patterson's lawyer has withdrawn all motions to contest Benjamin's will. They've acknowledged that the will is valid and that all distributions were made according to Benjamin's clear and documented wishes. This means the legal battle is officially over. You can move forward without any further challenges. Congratulations. I read the letter 3 times. Then I put it in a folder with all the other documents from the past 2.5 months. It was over. Finally, actually over. I thought I'd feel triumphant, vindicated, something. Instead, I just felt tired. Day 90. The Benjamin Patterson Memorial Wing opened at the Oak Street Animal Shelter. I wore a black dress and spoke for 3 minutes about how much Benjamin loved dogs. How he'd always wanted to adopt another one, but we'd been too busy with his treatment. Afterward, the shelter director showed me around the new facility. Clean kennels with soft beds, a big play area, a medical suite for sick animals. We've already rescued 32 dogs since we got the funding, she said. All because of your husband's generosity. I walked through the kennels. A pit bull mix wagged his tail at me. The tag on his kennel said his name was Biscuit. Can I adopt him? I asked. The director smiled. I was hoping you'd ask. I took Biscuit home that afternoon. He was terrible. Chewed my shoes, barked at squirrels, refused to sleep anywhere except on my bed. He was perfect. Day 100. 3 months and 10 days after Benjamin died. I was sitting in my apartment with Biscuit curled up next to me when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Emma Patterson? Yes. This is Detective Morrison. We've been investigating the threatening texts and letters you received. We traced them back to a burner phone purchased by Jennifer Patterson. What? She's being charged with criminal harassment and terroristic threats. The texts threatening your safety combined with the vandalism conviction are enough for the DA to pursue serious charges. How did you figure it out? Store security footage. She paid cash for the phone, but her face is clear on camera. We also found drafts of the threatening messages in her email account. She's not very good at covering her tracks. After I hung up, I thought about Jennifer. Younger than me by 5 years. Always in Sandra's shadow. Always trying to prove herself. I didn't feel sorry for her, but I understood her better than I wanted to. Day 120. I got a letter from Dorothy's daughter. Emma, Mom passed away peacefully last night with her family around her. She asked me to give you this. It's not much, but she wanted you to have it. Thank you for taking such good care of her. Inside the envelope was a check for $5,000 and a note in shaky handwriting. Emma, use this to do something that makes you happy. Life's too short to carry other people's anger. Love, Dorothy. I cried for 20 minutes. Then I took Biscuit for a walk. Used Dorothy's check to enroll in the master's program I'd been putting off for years. Day 150. Dan called. Mom's doing better. The facility is helping. She's on medication that's actually working. That's good. She asked about you yesterday. First time she's mentioned you in months. What did she say? She asked if you were okay. If you were happy. I told her you were doing well. How did she respond? She cried. Said she was sorry for everything. I don't know if she means it or if it's the medication talking. But it's something. I thought about visiting Sandra. Making peace. But I wasn't ready for that. Maybe I'd never be ready. Day 180. 6 months exactly. I graduated from Dorothy's care and took on a new patient. Spent my days working, my nights studying, weekends playing with Biscuit in the park. I donated half of Benjamin's inheritance to cancer research like I'd planned. Started a scholarship fund for nursing students. Bought a small house with a yard where Biscuit could run.